How you going? Today on Blair's Live. I got no idea what he's doing.
Hey, now wait a minute. It's
I'm
a
just
live
standing.
practice.
Yeah, I'm just sanding. So no one wants to watch that. That's boring. They'd rather watch someone actually make some chips. So make some shavings, you see?
That's like watching glue dry, just sanding.
Yeah, you should try doing it.
I do.
It's hard not to go to sleep, I tell you.
And I do it on a flat steel work. Hey, Jay, did you get those pictures I sent you? That I sent to everybody here so far?
Yes,
Cool.
looks very nice.
Thank you.
Has
Yeah,
anyone anyone
you
put
ever
their
have
order
those?
in yet?
No, I never posted it. I ain't going to yet. But
Sorry, go.
this is a one-off for now. I mean, it's not, the whole thing isn't my idea, but the accents is a combination of my ideas and John Cousins.
Okay. Now you can sell them for a good little penny there. I reckon.
Yeah, I could.
Start making them around Christmas time, for Valentine's Day.
Right. That's what I need to start doing is start making stuff like that well ahead of the seasons.
Yeah.
Instead of making them during the season, then wonder why I don't sell any of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want to buy them so they can use them. And well, you can sell them two ways. You could sell them the way they are and then sell them finished with, several different types of things on them, a decoupage finish of
Right.
other pictures, yeah, or make it a hobby kit and just a one pager stuck inside on how to do it.
Right.
So that gives you, three different products that you could sell.
Yep. Yep. And that's kind of what I did with the mother silhouettes this time. Because most of the time I usually already glue a picture on, but I didn't have no pictures for the people I was making them for. So I just put together it ended up being 3 pages just because I didn't condense it up right. But I put together a booklet of how to put it together and cut your picture and all that stuff put on there on the heart. You know. But yeah, there's always different ways of changing up an idea or an object.
Yeah, I don't know if it's something I learned a long time ago or it was common sense, probably common sense, but I used to make stuff all the time and you wanted to sell a finished product.
Yeah.
And I had more people I found ask, uh, I like that. It's a nice bookshelf or a nice end table, but I would have painted it this color, or I
Right.
would have done this. It's a nice stepping stool for the kids but next time, can you make me one that I can have them put together themselves? And what kind of glue do you use in it? Well, I used wedges, where you drill all the way through and with your leg, dowel type leg, and
Mhm.
then you split it with the grain and put a
Mhm.
wedge in.
Nice.
So I found I made 4 or 5 of them, and they were gone within 10 minutes.
Hmm. Yeah, it's like that beware a dog sign. The first one I had done, I painted it and put it outside here for it was for myself anyways. But then my buddy's like, why don't you do the same thing but don't paint it? He goes, "Oh, I'll do it." I was like, "Okay, good to go." So sometimes you're right. It's better just to make the items, whether they're all together and they paint them, or make them in sets and they put it together.
Yeah. Well, look at Michael's. They do both. I mean,
Yeah.
well, it's all from China, but they have the assembled unpainted ones. They have the kits in bags, of which they get more money for because you got to put the pieces in a bag. And then they've got the finished ones somewhere else in the store
Yep.
for 4 times the price. But, you know, it's all the way the person wants it.
Yep. Yep. Michael's, Hobby Lobby, and all the others like it. They do this a lot of
Yep.
the same things. Hey Jay, Sid's out back. He's in the outback.
Yeah, that's where he lives, in the outback.
I know, but he's backstage.
How you
That's
going,
why I
Sid?
said it that way, Sid.
How you going?
Yeah, all right.
Relative to Jay, I live in the outback. But that's not what we call it. How you going, Blair?
Well, this is Blair's practice before his live practice before going live tomorrow, if that makes sense.
It does. Was that you and your cat there, Blair, or?
Sorry, what was that?
It's an Australian thing. If you sort of do the bird one way and then you do it sideways, it's Here's one for you and one for the horse he rode in on.
Oh, like
Okay.
that. I just can't. If I do this, I guess that's a thumbs up, but that's kind of a thumbs up. And
That's what I'm saying. That's the cat as well.
Thumbs up something. Somewhere.
So who's there? We got Sarge and Blair and Dr. Bob. How are you all?
We're good. How about you, Sid?
Yeah, not bad. I'm not sure where the morning went this morning. Jay's message popped up and I looked at the clock and it was after 12. So I thought it was only about 9:30.
Right.
So I've sent the wife out looking for the morning for me.
You put her out on a walkabout because that's what it's going to be. She's going to walk about, and never find it.
So I sent her a message and said, I've lost something. Can you see if you can find it for me? And she replied after a while and said, well, I'm a bit busy, but what? I said, the morning. So hopefully I won't be out of line here, but that looks like a small urn, Blair.
I was going to say vase, but yeah, urn.
all right, so I'll give it away. So what I'm thinking about doing is I'm going to make this a little bit elongated, and then I'm going to cut it off, and then I'm going to cut it again at like not even a 45, maybe a 22 or something like that. And then this part is going to be round, and I'm going to glue this to this part, and so it's going to be a pen holder, something you can put in there. So it looks like the vase is tipping, but you've got a pen in it.
Yep. When you said pen holder, I could then visualize it.
Right. Yeah, I got you now.
So let's see how it works out.
Yeah.
Who knows? I may cock it up in the next couple minutes.
Then it becomes something else.
Well, that'll be entertaining for us anyway.
Yeah. You ever had those moments when you're supposed to be on vacation, but all you could think about was woodworking?
Yeah.
That's what I did. That's what I did all stinking weekend. Even partying and watching all the extra drunks get drunker. That's all I could do was think of woodworking. Couldn't wait to get back in my shop. I shot off to the shop real quick and pulled out something I've been thinking on all weekend, and I got her done. But yeah, it's one of those that just kind of bugged you or bugged me.
Well, when you're on the road like that, do you take your own motorhome or trailer, or is that company supplied?
Now we've got a fifth wheel down there at our cousin's house, and that's where we
Oh,
stay
that's
at.
nice.
And that top piece, Sid, that's what was on my brain all weekend. So,
How you going, Chris?
howdy, Chris. And now, yeah, we finally this last year got a fifth wheel to where we could stay down there, and not have to get motel rooms and stuff like that. And then we went out on the float yesterday. Chris Blair did say hi. I stepped on him. Sorry, Blair.
Yeah, Chris. So I'm busy feeding my face, so I'm not watching the chat as much.
Yeah, Jay popped in on that one to start it.
Nice looking Grecian urn.
Thank you, Bob.
Yeah, the good thing is, Dr. Bob, down there now I've got a saw that I could use. Problem is I don't take my computer and don't have a printer or anything to print out the pattern that I needed.
That's always the case.
Yeah. So Chris says I've made 2 handles for his carbides today, Jay. A cherry and a curly maple.
Chris, don't you know we don't say the C word? C word is bad.
Curly.
That'll better be nice, Chris. It got up very nice.
Well, I don't know. Robo's not in, so we haven't heard
I'm
it.
sure he's lurking in the background.
Yeah, never trust that he's not here. He'll be keeping an eye on stuff.
And even if he's not sitting here today in the background, he's probably going to watch it again later.
Yes.
He's like your mother. He's got eyes in the back of his head.
Exactly.
So we ought to have another letter for the C word.
We'll use K.
The Kit Kat tools.
Okay. Now you're going to hollow that out completely?
Talking about cherry or curly being the C word.
Yeah.
I'm seriously looking at the. I know whether you watched the virtual craft fair that was on over the weekend, but I'm seriously having a look at the carbide hollower because I'm struggling to get into stuff to hollow it with my skill level with the spindle gouge is not good enough.
Well, I think that's the acceptable one. I mean, it depends on the style, but I think Robo has said that that's probably the only place for them. But Chris says I like it because they make it easy for roughing, but I still go back to traditional tools for good finishes. I started with traditional tools.
But hey,
hello, Lewis.
Hi, Lewis. How you going?
How you going, Lewis?
Did I sound like Jay? Hi, Lewis. How you going?
You got to put your mask on.
Hey, Sarge, now that heart box, that's all with the scroll saw, huh?
Yes, sir.
Love it.
Yeah,
So
it's
that
actually,
the 3 layers, you've gone in and out to make the little rounds. So it's done in a base, 3 layers, then the little top, and then the lid and the heart on top.
correct. And actually, everything but the flat top and the other part there,
Yep.
that's all Steve Good design. And then the flat top is actually a copy of the base. And I don't know if I sent you the picture of the inside of that, but
Yeah.
I took the took out from that cutout top edge and glued that to the flat part. And then that other piece on top, that actually come off of my mother silhouettes that I do. I cut it at a bevel, and usually I'll push that back into the belly and make a frame. It makes a picture frame for it. So I put a little bevel on there to give it a nice edge.
I love it.
All right. Lewis, can you see what I'm making there? I think my lathe's changed color though, but if you can guess what I'm making, if you can guess what it is, you can have it, all right?
Your lathe's grown a bit too, Jay.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've started wearing a glove like Blair.
And your cameras have gotten better too.
Hey, get out of here. No one asked for your opinion. So, Lewis, what is it? It's not a vase. Come on, or vase. What is it?
Warm enough in here?
Actually, I don't know. I reckon Jay's getting a bit lazy with his wives. That's 2 in a row now that he's just had someone else turn him.
But it isn't you. Oh, really? Lewis, come on, don't be like that. How do you know it's not me? No, we've got to take the name.
I haven't figured it out yet.
No, I've got to take the name away next time.
There you go, Lewis. Then you can figure it out.
You're going to have the Sarge house turning the furniture.
I might be able to swing that as long as I can make it into a compound pattern. I can cut out the front side on one side, glue it or tape it back together, flip it over on the other side, and cut the profile out. They take the Dremel around.
Thing we were talking about, Dr. Bob, the other day when can't think of his name now. The scroll sawers go to that too, and I was watching one of them cut out chess pieces.
Yeah, I got a nice scroll saw right now. It's buried and I can't get to it.
Sounds familiar, right, Jay?
Sorry, Sarge, I didn't hear that.
Nice tools that are better.
Sorry, I didn't hear that again. Oh, what happened? Did he get muted? Oh. Sorry.
Bit of megalomania there. He likes the control.
No, don't be like that. This is ash. It's a bowl I turned about a month or two ago, I suppose. I didn't like it, so I returned it yesterday. Just the inside of it, at least. I took about another 1.5 inches out of the inside because it was fat and chunky like me, you see. Yeah. Anyway, so I was just sanding that. That's why I had you on Blair, because Blair wasn't sanding. He was making sawdust and making chips, and I was just making sawdust. You know, it's bloody boring, isn't it? When someone else is making shavings, you might as well watch them. So just got a little bit of tear out here, but I'm kind of thinking it's because it's jumping across this gap and then diving back into the wood there. That's only come from the sandpaper. It hasn't actually come from the tools itself. Yeah, it does. It actually grows a lot, Lewis, to be honest. Now that I know what it looks like, there's heaps of it around. When are they going to class it as a pest, Sid?
That's the desert ash.
Yeah. No.
It is
The I don't know what the ash around here is called, but they're giant trees. And yeah,
What
I don't know.
colour will leaves go in autumn?
I think it's an evergreen.
Ash are deciduous, or the true ash, unless it's an Aussie ash. So if it's a European or American ash, it'll be a deciduous tree. It'll drop its leaves.
Yep. No, I don't think this one drops its leaves, though. It's like the Salisbury Council here they haven't planted them for a while, but they used to plant them a lot along the streets.
So there's two ashes that look very similar. One's called desert ash, and the other one's called claret ash.
Okay.
Desert ash is declared, and claret ash isn't. And without sending samples away to be identified, you wait till autumn, and the claret ash leaves go red, and the desert ash leaves go yellow.
Oh, okay. No red leaves. Definitely none. I've been driving past them for years.
Yeah. So I'm not saying it's not an ash, it's just not one of the classic European or American ashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, years ago we had a big problem with the ash borer, a beetle, and it went through and devastated most of Detroit because that's what the trees were in a big chunk of Michigan, and they had to cut them down to stop the beetle from getting others. So
Ash beetle or elm beetle, Dr. Bob?
no, I guess it was elm. I thought, well, they cut down a bunch of ash trees too, and I thought that's what it was. But that's been 30 years ago.
Yeah, the elm beetle was decimated a lot of elm plantations, but I hadn't heard of an ash beetle before. I'm not saying that there isn't one.
It's probably 50 years ago, so you could be right. Because that's something that just doesn't stick with me anymore. Technology, yeah, but that's all old and obsolete. I've been told the older you get, the drier your brain gets and you forget more. That's why I always keep something to drink.
So it says he's got a floor model oscillating spindle sander, a tilt head mortiser, and a scroll saw, all at a friend's place until he's allowed to pick them up. And then he goes, hold on, did you say ash is an evergreen? And then he says that the beetles and everything are up there in Canada now. Took them a while to get up there, but they're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lewis, we have a tree in Australia we call the Aussie ash. It's not a true ash, but it is an evergreen. But the ash, like desert ash, claret ash, and the European and North American ash are all deciduous trees.
So, Jay, is Waldo your stand-in shirt? Because every time you wear it, you always fill him full of sawdust and chips.
Yep. Well, this is not the only piece I'm doing today, so he'll get some shavings soon enough.
I always find that interesting because in Australia we call him Wally.
Yeah.
Wally?
Yeah, W-A-L-L-Y.
Here we call Wally the robot. Wally!
Yeah. But I wonder, do you get the book, the Waldo book? And just rename it, have it change the name to
Yeah,
Wally
It's
instead of
called
Wally.
Where's Wally. It's called Where's Wally.
Interesting.
Lewis wants to know, so what Jay is turning is that evergreen? Is that evergreen ash?
Yeah, the ash that isn't ash, or something like that.
So what's happened here in Australia is there's a couple of, they're not all eucalypts, but there's a couple of Australian trees that have similar characteristics in the wood to what the oaks and ashes do from Europe and North America. So they've been sort of named for them, like Aussie oak and Aussie ash. But they're not actually oaks or ashes.
They have their own genus.
Yep. They're not related at all. It's just that the timber actually, when you're working with the timber, it has similar characteristics.
Lewis says, "Where is Waldo here?" He's right here, mate.
Where is Wally?
He's with Eva.
Haven't seen Eva for ages, actually.
Yeah, she's having some migraines or something.
Okay. She keeps posting food pictures, but she doesn't post it far enough back so you can actually see what it is. It's always a close-up, just like a mouthful's worth.
Teasing.
Yep. Oh no, not a headache, it's toothache.
That's nasty.
Yeah.
As if the tooth isn't in the head.
That's more of a question for Sid, I reckon. Lewis in the chat there.
Yeah, Lewis, they are. I could look up again what they are. One's a eucalypt and one's a grevillea. The Aussie oak, I reckon, is a grevillea, and the Aussie ash is a eucalypt.
Yeah.
Lewis says, check out that Yorkshire Grit.
Right, the white.
Hi. Was that Dr. Bob?
Yeah, did you skip black?
No.
The black can?
No, you obviously just wasn't watching.
Yep, could be.
Not being rude or anything, but I have used it.
No, Blair's using it now.
He's using axe, not Yorkshire.
Ooh.
Well, he was showing. All I could see was the black can.
Yeah. Oh, Blair, put it back up again.
I got too many things open.
Oh, he's parting. Wait till he finishes that.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he has Lewis, but he does want to try it. He has name dropped Glenn a couple of times, and what's going on there? I think somebody needs to mute their speakers, please.
Lewis says, I'm curious because everyone who has used both that I have known has preferred Yorkshire Grit over Axe. Lewis has only used Yorkshire Grit, so I'm not qualified to say one or the other is better.
No, me either. I've only used Yorkshire. I'll be going to an Aussie brand after this. It's called Triple E.
That's good stuff. I've used that for quite a while before that Yorkshire Grit came around. It's just very expensive here.
Yeah, that's all right. Just have to make it last. All right. I'm going to take this off now.
Chris says, I've made my own from Kim Tippin recipe and love it. But I have not tried the others. Yeah. I had to try to figure out, break them lines apart.
I've made my own. I've made 2 different abrasives. They both work all right. I got Yorkshire Grit given to me, so I thought I'd use it.
I've made my own too, and I don't know. I use mine for different applications. I do like the axe. I would like to try the Yorkshire. I imagine they're pretty much the same, just a little bit different elements. But it's worth trying.
Lewis says, what I will say is Yorkshire Grit works much better if you sand the 400 to 600 grit first.
All right. Well, I got told I only need to sand to 240, but each to their own, I suppose, really.
Well, see, that's the thing is I saw with the some of the demonstrations is that you don't even need to sand it up that far.
Yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to, that's what the grit's supposed to do is take it to like 1,000.
Yep.
Chris says, tell me the difference between homemade and Yorkshire Grit or Axe.
So,
not much really.
Yeah.
Maybe the oils that they use. Let's see.
So I think this
is Yorkshire. Sorry, Blair, go.
Axe, I think they use baby oil because it does smell like baby powder. And I'm not sure what the grit is that they use for it. And I know it's beeswax.
Yeah, well, the Yorkshire Grit, it says on the front, on this writing here, it says a hand-blended mix of mineral oil, lemon oil, beeswax, rotten stone, and pomace, designed to give you wood. Yeah, anyway, and pomace as well. So.
All right, then Lewis says, and on resin, the microfine still needs to be sanded finer to remove scratches from the resin. He says if you go to 400 grit, then use regular or microfine on wood, it is perfect, no scratches at all. Chris says mine is mineral oil, beeswax, and that earth.
Yeah, it's a dental powder. What he's using. There's probably the better stuff to use out of the powders, but you can actually use talcum powder. you can use, if you can get a fine enough grinder, you can use eggshells as like a more of an abrasive grit kind of thing, and then use the talcum powder one as a finer grit.
And then Chris says lemon oils would be good. Mine smells like beeswax.
Yeah.
So the diatomaceous earth, I know that they use it for gardening, like especially if you've got like a slug problem or a snail problem. Works for ants and stuff like that. It basically just tears them apart. It's all so gritty and that.
Diatomaceous earth is a very versatile product because you can use it in poultry for getting rid of mites. You can use it for everything Blair said. They also use it for the final filtering for wine. So they make a slurry and it goes onto a big roller, like a mud pack over the roller, then they suck the wine through it. So what comes through is crystal clear wine.
Lewis says Yorkshire Grit is much faster than sanding for sure, and the oil and the wax really make the wood look great.
Yeah,
And he says Brad is sending me some of his to try. Doesn't work on squash beetles, Blair.
Oh man. Yeah, but can you squash beetles and then mix it in with that and then eat it?
And not on potato bugs either.
Well, the problem I have is that they all have some sort of wax in them. And depending on the finish you're going to put on, it's hard to get that wax out of the wood, especially if the finish you want to get in there, like I do a lot of stuff with emphasizing the different grain patterns. And it gets down into there, and then when I put a finish on, it just looks bad because you can't get it out. I've even tried using a small blowtorch to melt it out. And that's about the only way I can do it, but it's still, maybe I've tried it the other way where I do the airbrushing and coloring and emphasizing first and then sand it. But that takes off a lot of the work I've done. So it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. If I'm not doing any emphasis work, that using any sort of chemical, be it paint, whatever.
That's going to make it wobble, Jay.
Yeah, I did a test this morning before I did a live, and yes, it is. And I've centered it so that it's centered with the main part of the log and not with the chunks hanging off, because they're going to get turned off anyway. So
Yep.
Yeah,
But
I'm gonna stand outside the shed and turn it on first, just as a. But yeah, it's face plated on, so I made sure I had something good to hold it there, and the screws I'm using are like that long, so. Yeah, I don't actually think it's going to come off, to be honest, but I'm going to stand out the way just in case.
I would have been comfortable just between centers to get it round, but yeah.
No, I wasn't game enough. Yeah. Oh, hang on, Blair.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that.
So just put a pin in it and
Nicely done.
thank you.
What wood did you say it was?
Sorry?
What wood did you say it was?
That's cherry.
It's the C word. Cherry with a K.
Yeah.
And a silent Q.
I look like the P in swimming.
That's just way too dangerous there, Jay.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris wants to know, is there a abrasive paste that you can paint or lacquer after using it?
All of them you can.
Okay.
If you want to do the abrasive paste and get the oils in the wood, then you can put lacquer, whatever over the top of it. It's not going to really bug it.
Yeah,
Hello?
I've
It's got to be an oil base, though, not a water base.
I've coloured over Yorkshire. I've tried an experiment without Yorkshire and an experiment with Yorkshire, without and with, and it just doesn't soak into the wood because the Yorkshire is already there. So it kind of sits on there and makes
Like a primer?
yeah,
Like
that's right.
sanding primer?
If you want the grain to stand out, don't put the Yorkshire Grit on because then you can let that soak in a little bit into the grain. But yeah, that was the only difference I could see, was you could see the grain more on the piece that didn't have the Yorkshire on it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I kind of mean.
Lewis says Wayne the wood turner says he can color after Yorkshire Grit. Mark did a chalice on Saturday that he colored after Yorkshire Grit too. And then Lewis says, nice, Blair. But Lewis is going to head off to bed. So good night, Lewis.
The UK turners, most of the colours they use are water based, and that's why they struggle to get colour on after Yorkshire Grit. So they clean it off with metho first. But if you're using an oil based or an alcohol based colour or dye, it'll be fine.
See you later, Lewis. Thanks for coming
See you,
in.
Lewis.
That makes sense.
Later, Lewis. Have a good night.
Because water and oil don't mix.
You can show them this now if you like.
So those of you that saw my live last week, that was the urn that I just finished today.
It's smelly, but-
Yeah, leave it outside still, right?
Yeah, I'll bring it in.
Outstanding, Blair.
Thank you.
I don't think I can show this piece because I don't think my shed's big enough, to be honest. But I'll give it a go.
Oh, did she get the tabletop done? The runner for your kitchen table?
Oh,
You know what? I've got a shed there. Did you get that?
Oh,
Is that loud enough for you? It didn't do
Nice.
anything to the shed other than scaring the crap out of me.
Nice job, Amber.
right.
Awesome, Amber.
It's been polished and that's all burnt in, all of that black.
Sweet.
I think some of the guys who haven't been there to where Jay's is, the roof of his shed's about 2 inches above his head.
Yeah.
And if he laid down lengthways, he'd nearly have his feet and his head on each end of the shed.
Yeah, not far off, huh? So, look,
yeah, it's called compact.
yeah. It's
No,
good.
he's not compact.
I'm not compact, no, I'm not. He's got it. You got it. That's it. I'm lumpy and chunky.
Chunky. Chunky monkey.
So, Sid,
Oh, so you said that those limbs are going to be cut off, are going to be turned off.
yeah.
So what if
Yeah,
you take? Can you get that bottom limb, the one that's hanging down now? Can you get that any more of that off with the bandsaw? Yeah.
No,
So
it's
why
too
not?
high.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
The
We've got
bandsaw's
a
only got
little-
100 mil throat.
Got a little
Right.
bandsaw.
I understand. Sorry, I'm getting too low.
Just give it a spin again, Jay.
All right.
Oh, it was walking.
It's not. I don't know. I've had worse, to be honest.
That's on its slower speed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
make sure you keep the tailstock all tight. Tighten up a bit more now that it's spun a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I've tightened it up so much that it's pushing the tailstock back.
Yep. And try and get that big chunky bit down as much as you can first.
Doesn't turn with it there.
Can you get the edge of the tailstock near it? Not sorry, the edge of the tailstock, the edge of the, because you've got your long rest on there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Can you bring it?
Far out. That must be like a quarter of a mil off from touching the banjo, hey?
Can you get your banjo to your right just a little bit and then angle your tool rest? Or is that you're going to get into it?
I've got it so it's right over this piece now.
Yeah.
But that's the only problem. I've got to stand in front of it to do it.
What? You scared?
It's slightly intimidating.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I don't have anything. I could go get a sheet of metal and hide behind that like Ned Kelly, you know, but I think it'll still go through that. All right.
I feel perfectly safe here.
So, yeah, oh, that's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good here too, Sid.
All right.
Well, I know how to protect myself.
Garlic there, Dr. Bob. Necklace of garlic on as well.
I suppose I'll try another go.
Just make sure you got a clear path to step backwards, so you don't fall over anything.
That's the problem, Sid. You've been in my shed and you know that I don't have that. I step back into this
the
bench.
door then. You want to be going towards the door if you have to go, not towards your bench.
Yeah, I know, but that's where the log's going to go. That's the.
Well, you figure that what's going to happen is the worst
No,
case.
the log will take your camera out.
Oh, that's all right then.
Well, I'm thinking it'll cause the lathe to fall over towards him.
No,
And it'll keep spinning, and then it'll bounce around on whatever's there if his body's there.
No, the lathe's got a good enough stand, it's not going to fall over. How you feeling about it, Jay?
I can't push the banjo in, which is going to be slightly annoying. As soon as I push the banjo in, it's knocking. I'll try and take a bit more off, but it's.
Can you move it towards the middle a bit and use the edge of the rest, or is there something in the middle that's going to hit it as well?
No, the banjo hits it, so I have to try and take off a bit more of this first.
Well, maybe work in from the tailstock end so that you've got clearance to get the banjo
Yeah.
under there.
Yeah,
Yep.
I've turned the hand. I've turned the tool rest on an angle, so it's pointing more at this here. So I can take that off and go from that
Yep.
way.
The reason I ask how you're feeling about it is you're the one standing in front of it.
Yeah, I'm going to go very cautiously, very, very cautiously. And I'm just every now and then just tightening the tailstock. I know it's moving back, but at least it's kind of keeping some tension there.
Yeah.
Bastard. That's what happens when you don't tighten the tool rest, isn't it?
What did it do? Bounce into your log?
Yeah, a little bit, but
Hmm.
wait.
Chris says juggling and wood turning both get your heart rate up, but juggling is scary. I waited until you had a pause before I said anything.
I've got my foot on the bar that goes across the center of my lathe stand,
Mm.
and kind of got my hip and the top of my leg wedged into the base of it, so that I'm kind of giving it, giving me something to at least.
You don't have any sandbags you can hang over that?
Nah, I am the sandbag.
I
Oh,
guess better.
glass.
I guess
Blair's got
better the sandbags than the dirt bag.
You're full of them today, aren't you?
I've had a weekend to prep.
Yeah, good point. Yep. No more weekends off.
Not for a while.
Alrighty, guys, I better go back to work, get some more done. I've already lost the morning, so not sure where that went. It was 9:30, I thought, and it was 12:30. So have a great day. I'll catch you all later.
Yeah.
Thanks,
sis.
See you later.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
So Jay, what are you going to try to get out of that once you get it rounded off or leveled out?
I say we'll carry on till tomorrow for starters. Maybe a goblet. I don't know.
Okay.
We'll see what it looks like once the branches are taken down.
Is that your center mark?
No, that's just as far as I want to go when it's turning.
Mm.
Because I can't. I'm stopping before it, and I'm leaving this big. And that's not good. No good.
Yeah. What was that?
The banjo moved a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You got a real bucking Billy there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit better, but
I was going to say I couldn't see your black line, but I could at least see that one knot or that one limb going towards the center there.
Yep. This one
follow,
here.
Yeah, I could follow the whatever you guys call that.
Ghost line.
Yeah, hell, my brain just farted.
Thought I could smell something.
Yeah. I know if you're sharpening something, you'd be chasing the burr, watching the burr go. I can't think of what else to call it.
The knot.
No, it's like the wood. You know how you when you're watching the as you turn the wood, and watch the edge of it just kind of go in the direction that you're turning your tool.
Yes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I don't know if I've heard a name for it. Well, I've probably heard many, but not enough of the unified name. It's the bark you see going. And he's going to come up to that a big problem because you can see that that limb is farther out than where he's at now, so he can't hit it. Or chances are the tool's going to hit him in something else because it's so abrupt. When he comes there, he's got to start at that and just cut that down.
Yeah, watching the ridge or whatever, watching the ridge go. But yeah, you're right. He can only hit that one from the tailstock to the headstock until he gets that ridge out of there.
And the other problem is if he goes from where he's at now to the end of the log, it's going to cause that one limb that we see pointing down be off balance more. There's a real trick to doing this type of stuff as to where to cut what.
Yeah, it's like fueling up an aircraft, weights and balances.
Yep. I watched them do a C-130 one day, and I didn't know what was going on. It's just it was so funny. They put the wing tanks in, and they did one whole wing by itself, and it was teetering so bad. They didn't show both wings at once.
Right.
They were new.
Sometimes, like in Okinawa, the way that they come off of the taxiway, there's a little bit of a downhill ramp before they get into the parking spots. And they'll come down that ramp and they make a hard left turn into it. And so there's times where the fuel gets sloshed to the right side. It'll drop that wing down. And so when you go out to fuel, you got to start on the left wing and start putting fuel in that, kind of overdoing it until that side starts popping down. Yeah, there's a trick to it, that's for sure. I've seen it where we take the fuselage or the outside external tanks and have to push up on that to slosh the fuel to the other side to get the struts to pop.
Oh. What do you use, a jack?
Yeah, a bunch of us jacks out there.
Oh, okay. No, you might use an airbag to push it up. No, if it gets down that low to where we can get under it, we'll sit there and we'll rock it as it's still getting fueled, and that kind of sloshes the fuel, and the weights and everything will push it over.
They got airbags with legs and arms over there, Dr. Bob.
Yeah, it's called cheap labor.
Hey, Jay, Chris wants to know, is there any way you can add counterweight?
No, I've got nothing other than me sitting on the lathe bed, and I'm not doing that. No, I know where you're coming from, but I have got it down a bit, and the shakiness has gone down. It's still there, but it has gone down. So.
Yep.
And you're still getting that tailstock. You're still hitting on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Every time I do it, it slides back on the bed, so it's just definitely tight enough.
Right.
Just check the chuck once in a while. Make sure that it's still solid.
It's got a faceplate, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Then you're all right.
Yeah, with inch and a half screws, 4 of them. So it should, that side of it should hold it.
Ride 'em, cowboy.
There's still that big chunk on that big limb on your tail sprout.
The interesting thing to look at the illusion would be to look at the space between the bed waves and the wood, where you can see light, looking like it's flickering on and off. That'll tell you how much he's got to take off, because it ought to be an even patch of light. So by watching that, you can see how much he's cutting off, really.
Yeah.
See, it's got down to it now.
Yeah, you finally got that plateau off of there. I was about to ask you about that, if you move your tool rest down and get that plateau off.
Yeah.
But looks like you got it off.
That's why I kept going back and forth to try and evenly take it off.
Yeah.
If there's such a thing with this piece.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you if you can go back down to that first limb. And I see you're heading that way. I know you got an idea of what you're doing. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, it's all good.
One of these days, you'll want to sit down at a friend's house in front of a lathe and do it yourself.
Exactly. But see, the way my mind works is I take what I already know, and it could be something totally different than what I'm actually talking about, and make it to where it makes sense to me. Like, for example, my first wife, she was badly sick and in the hospital and everything. And the doctor was trying to describe something. And finally I was like, oh, so that's like this component of the engine not working with that component of the engine. Oh, my ex-wife got come unglued. But I was like, yeah. She's like, yeah, I guess so.
That's the easiest way, because that's how the brain thinks. It tries to fit one piece of a puzzle to another piece, and you already know what some of it looks like. That's why some people are really excellent at puzzles, because they can see a pattern and a correlation. I like that camera view. You can see underneath where it's off balance, as I was saying earlier.
Right.
That way you're comparing it to the lathe bed, and the brain does that much easier than it does like comparing it to the top where it's his shirt and everything else. There's a fixed edge the brain can connect to. And if you notice where the faceplate is above, you can see the piece of wood in the ghost image, and you see his shirt behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's that type of pattern recognition the brain does the quickest. That gives us our balance.
Mm. Now it looks like
That's
you,
why
you
when
could
you're
get that.
inebriated, you don't have a lot of balance because your brain can't make the comparisons that quick.
Old freight train going past.
Mm. Yeah, Sid says you can see shadow.
Yep.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. But that one little strip that you're kind of pushing along as you're going in whatever direction your tool's going. That's what I was trying to come up with.
Yeah. I know when I do stuff like that, I have a black card
Hmm.
that I can prop up off the back of my lathe, and I can have a light that gives me that definitive line, and that way I can tell where I've got to work to get something more in balance. And then sometimes it's just to be able to cut something perfectly straight because it was born with an eye problem. My eyes work individually,
Right.
and they even move individually. Not as much after 5 eye operations that were done in the 50s, but I still favor one or the other.
I just come up with something that looks like the motion of it, and that's an engine crankshaft. Do you see
Yes,
it, Dr. Bob?
I sure do. And that's because of the frequency that the camera is running on.
Hmm. And then the sound effects go along almost with it.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. It's coming around looking pretty good too.
It's definitely not shaking as much, that's for sure.
Nah, but like I told Dr. Bob, I was like, man, it looked like a crankshaft going. And especially when you were getting a good rhythm going, that's
Yep.
what it sounded like too. The camera, the big
Yeah.
side and little side, and that little twist in the middle.
This camera is a low resolution camera compared to the HD one that I normally use. It's all right, but it doesn't do light too well, as you can see with the sunlight here. It's
Well, mine is behind you. Everything else is a whole lot brighter from this angle.
yep.
You're looking out the door.
Right. But I mean, everything else is so much clearer from this angle.
Yeah, it is. Nice low angle.
Hmm.
I've just got a 1.5 meter length of 90 by 90 sitting in the corner back there, and that's what the camera's sitting on.
Hmm. Chris says that camera looks good right there.
Yeah, something different.
Yeah.
And that's where my belts are in there.
Hmm.
Uh-huh. They're still tight
Yeah.
because when you stop the lathe, the belt would be spinning.
What
Yeah.
was that?
Oh, it's just a small fan that I would normally have running like in front of a laptop or something when it's hot.
Mm.
But I generally have it running on blowing on my motor down there, just here.
Uh-huh.
Just gives it a little bit of fresh air because of the little corner that I'm confined to. Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
the lathe's confined to, I should say.
That'll help.
Yeah, makes a difference. And this cover, this bit of plastic here, this is just the cover that would generally just cover over my belts, but it just gets annoying after a while. I'll leave it there, but just leave it up.
I might have to if it's not so bloody cold, or I can get out there earlier tomorrow night. Take my phone out and use it as a camera. And do something on the lathe at the same time.
Are you getting jealous because Blair and Jay are both out there?
Yeah, trying to feel left out.
I hear you.
Yeah, if you were here, I'd give you a lathe you could play with.
Right.
Get you a bigger. I had 4 and I'm down to 2.
Howdy, Robert. Hodgepodge is in the house.
How you going, Robert?
And now that you got a spot, I'm going to call it a night.
All right, appreciate you coming.
See you,
Yep.
pal.
See y'all later.
Yeah,
Take
take
it
care. See you tomorrow.
Hey,
Yep.
Robert, how's the beaver?
I think Donald Duck's got a cold, Blair.
Better take him inside, Blair.
Personal question, right?
It was the right voice to ask it in, though.
I tried.
Yeah. What you want? Hodge, why don't you grab a link and come join us? We've got a couple empty spots here. Blair's practicing for his live tomorrow.
I'm actually just screwing around right now.
Oh, you sitting there, Cat? It's early.
I'm making a really cool looking ashtray.
Cherry again, Blair?
I'm making a really cool ashtray.
What wood is it?
Found on the ground.
Nice. I like that stuff.
Me too.
Random roadside wood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no idea what this is. It smells awful.
Nice though.
Yeah, my grandfather, when he found wood like that, granted, he's been dead probably 65 years. He used to call it skunk wood.
Yeah. But it's got some nice grain to it.
Hey Robert, if you want to, sorry, Blair,
Jay.
go.
Go ahead, Jay.
No, you go. That's what I was saying.
I was going to say, Robert, your video killed me today, especially, Harry quoting AC/DC. It's too funny. I love your edits. Your edits are classic.
Blair's got random roadside find wood, so he's got no idea. And I've got Chinese elm. If you go and, I don't know if you can go back in a live and watch the previous, but if you can, go back and watch how lumpy this was. It was it was one of those the horses that they got to break in,
Yeah, it was walking the lathe around the shop.
Yeah. If I wasn't standing on it, it would have been, that's for sure.
Yeah, Robo's probably sitting in the background cringing. And then now he's probably standing up with a nice cup of hot tea spiked, saying, well, I taught him that, and it's working.
He must won't watch this till later on tonight. He's filling an order that I think needs to be done the next day or so, or something like that. So, and it's a recent. No, it's another person, someone that personally came to him, visited him.
Okay.
So, yeah, he already told me last night that he wouldn't be in.
No, it was so bad it barely missed the banjo. And it hit the banjo. He had to work around that spot so he could get it down so he could even get a banjo under it.
Let's see what to do for tomorrow.
I found a site a couple days ago in China of companies that they'll make the lathes up for you if you want to buy them in a quantity, and you figure out what components you want on the lathe. And it was surprising. It was just that, we got this style legs or that style legs. The beds were all the same, except there were, I think, 3 lengths they had, or they had them so there was 2 lengths and you could bolt them together. And then it had the power sections to what you wanted as a drive section. Standard, both belt drives like he's got, or a Reeves drive, or then it come down to motors for both. But minimum order was like 100.
Jeez.
So they just put them together from pieces.
Well,
And they
that,
had,
we
they
live in that
offered them
day and age.
one color. Any more than those one color, there was a charge for prepping and painting.
Yeah, nowadays they can just pretty much have the general components and then slap whatever onto it, and that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know, unless you know, you want something that's just beefy all the time, you know, like a Powermatic or something like that.
Yeah. Well, they had heavy duty that would do it, but you had to pay for it. 3 horsepower motor and what type of controller, and it got into all those technicalities. And if you want something different, the casting and charges, and then that was really they got expensive if you didn't use their castings.
Oh, I'm sure.
And to the level that you wanted the bedway, the banjo, and the tailstock finished on the bottom, so as they would slide properly. I know on my Jet Reeves Drive, right after I bought it when they had just come out with them years and years ago, and the first thing I did is to take a real coarse stone, and when I got the box to assemble and the bottom of the bedways, uh, I took a coarse stone and smoothed them down tremendously, because the problem is the banjo and the tailstock have to grip onto the bottom of the bedways in order to lock itself in place. And if it's not flat and almost perfectly flat and smooth, you're only locking down on a few points. If it's warped or whatever, you might be locking down on 3 points, or 4 points is all that touches it. But I was warned about that, so I lapped them with a belt sander, and that's all it took. But that easier to tighten and lock stuff down with the bottom, the underside of the bedways, where everything clamps to it, has to be not shiny and bright, but smooth, so it can get a good grip. If you don't want it polished, because then it'll slide on you, you still need some sort of teeth to it.
Still a little bit damp, this piece.
You're getting wet, Jay?
Oh yeah, the shavings are feeling cold on my arms, so that would I guess indicate that it's still a little bit moist.
Oh, yeah. So it's self-cooling the operator.
Yeah, yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, with any lathe, the bottom side is very important. Now on my Powermatic for the banjo, it has a round disc, heavy disc that it pulls up and clamps. And I decided to try to see which was better. And I used a 40 grit sandpaper on a belt sander, and I hit one side of that big circle, the big disc itself, so it had a texture to it. And that let me lock down really solid all the time. But then there are times, the problem I had is when I started with the tightening, uh, I'm kind of lazy. I like to be able to loosen it and be able to, you're not supposed to do it, but move the banjo while it's running, just slightly, make adjustments. Uh, and if it locks really tight, then there's a jerk when you want to do that. So it depends on the style or what I'm doing. The other side of the disc, I have it with a fairly, it's got a grit to it. So it bites into the bottom of the bedway, the underside of the bedway. But it's all part of tuning up the lathe. And the tailstock, the same thing. You have to be able to get in there and flip that thing over and clean the bottom of the tailstock where it slides on the bed. That gets gummed up and people don't realize it. And of course, like you have and I do, the headstock, but we never think of it. We just leave it in place. But mine, because I can loosen it, I have moved it. There's a couple times where I've wanted to turn off the end of the bed, and I've slid it down to the end. When did you get your Powermatic?
Hey, Gage. Gage. Are you almost done? Okay. Because I better get set.
Oh, so the club member downgraded. You were lucky. Do you have a secondary switch on it with your little magnetic box? Not, that's easy to put in.
Thank you, baby.
I got my one way by a total shock and surprise. I came back to my shop one day and there it was with a note saying it's mine until I die. Yeah, you can get the switch online already with a cable, but not necessarily from Powermatic. It's cheaper to just get it elsewhere, but it matches the same type switch. And the control voltage in there is just, it's low voltage, but it's so easy to put that thing in. And if you're a geek, you can put a remote relay and you can carry a little push button pendant with you. If someone's using the lathe and you want to watch and still be able to turn it on and off, because I've got that too. Wireless. Well, I'll tell you, that switch is to me very important. I don't like with the lathe running have to think of crossing the line of fire to get to the power switch. I like to have it stuck right there on the bed or the frame. Have you got a 2 or 3 horse motor on it? The early ones like mine had a 3 horse. Yeah, mine, the serial number goes way back because then evidently when it came out, when the person that had bought it, you could pick and choose because I've got a 3540. No, I'm sorry. It's the 40 foot or 40 inch 40 inch bed third with a 20 inch or yeah 20 inch or but I have the riser for the headstock to make it a 24 inch, and that's what I usually have in there, the riser for the headstock and tailstock, because when it came out, those were accessories. And if you're doing bowls or anything like that, you can just make the riser for the headstock yourself as long as you don't need a matching tailstock because you're using a good faceplate or a solid chuck off the end of the lathe.
Hey guys, I'm gonna jump out of here real quick and then go up to my bedroom, and I'll be back on.
Okay,
No worries, Blair.
safe trip. I got mine from an anonymous person, though I've since found out who it is because they let it blurb. But he had four, and he bought them when they first come out, and they were part of a shop he ran. But on the warranty I have, it's called a 30. Let's see, it's called a 4035 without an A or a B. But the asterisk is that it had a riser block for the head and tailstock, or it had a head and tailstock kit. And it came with an outboard stand, so I could uh, use that for tool rest, outboard stand. Yeah. Uh, Years ago, the big lathes were a lot cheaper. People were selling them at auctions and stuff, but now we're getting more people with the internet and they have the ability to put a posting up and then auction it off cheaply or sell it. Oh God, it was 2002, 2003. Yeah, 2003. A friend of mine, while I was working for Uncle Sam, living in Virginia, he went to a closed semi auction where the government had impounded semi trailer for having drugs in it. And then they auctioned off all the other stuff that was in it. And it was just a big wooden crate that had been opened, and there was drugs taken out, and then everything was nailed back up, had custom seals on them. And he got himself a lathe for I think it was $1,800 because they weighed it, and It was by weight. Heavy machinery lathe. Everyone thought it was a machinist lathe. And the guy that bought it thought it was machinist, and it become, when they opened it up, it was a Powermatic. So he turned around and he asked the person who was bidding one under him if he wanted to buy it for that, for the same price, take it off his hands, and he bought it. Jay, that's in balance. Great. Hey, do you have a ballast box under it, or if you found a need?
Sorry, what was that? Just as I started cutting, you said something, Dr. Bob? You
Oh,
talking to
for
me or?
you, what would you need to have somebody that's got some woodworking, because your frame is the way it's shaped. You can't put a ballast box underneath your lathe. But when you have A-frame type legs on the lathe, that span
Yep.
out instead of a single post,
Yep.
you can put wood down there, and in doing so, you put a shelf on it, and then you put several 100 pounds of stone, gravel, stuff like that,
Yep.
and that would stop that vibrating. But to do it
Cool.
on yours, you probably have to get some angle iron and somehow construct one, because that, I don't know how
I'll
you
tell
do
you.
it. You'd have to ask Robo if it could be done without making new legs, a new stand
Oops.
for it.
And now it's right in the way. Come on, yeah. Look, there's my legs down here. Look.
Yeah, but the ballast, you'd have to put a piece of wood across between it and add some weight to keep it from rocking.
Yeah. I don't really plan on having too many pieces on here like that, but when I get my other shed, it'll have a proper slab of cement in it, so I'll be able to bolt the lathe down instead of my dodgy pavers slid in and cemented over the top.
Yeah,
So I took Robo's advice. I boosted mine up about 4 inches.
Yep.
And I like it better.
Yeah, better to turn.
It is. It's still a little wobbly, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But yeah, I like it better.
Yeah, it makes a difference. At least you get the right angle on the tools and stuff.
Right.
Blair, have you got a single post base like him, or A-frame?
It's an A-frame.
They're easy. Just put where the cross brace is on the A-frame, just put a ballast, put a heavy piece of plywood in there, end to end, and then put some concrete or gravel, sand. I've used bags of sand because there's always a place you need sand. A few years ago, I had rock salt at the end of the season, winter. He doesn't know anything about winter, Jay, but rock salt becomes cheap. And that's when I scoffed up and got 200, 400 pounds of it, because it was dirt cheap. And I just put them on like you have, just underneath. And next winter, I had the salt.
So my little pendulum whacker thing failed. It needs a broader base. Either that or I need to
So,
put a different angle on the thing.
you mean you forgot about the center of gravity?
Well, I was hoping that the wood was heavy enough that it would be able to. I didn't really think the angle that I had was that much of an angle, but apparently it is. I mean, if I don't use a heavy pen, that's fine, but so we'll have to make some modifications with that. Let me show you. So, just those are stupid little pens, but if you put like a heavier one like this,
Top heavy.
So I still like this idea. I'm just going to have to use a different plate or something like that on the bottom, or not put it at so much of an angle, but I like that angle though.
Yeah, I do too. And you don't have room to keep it miniaturized to put lead in the bottom and hide it.
Yeah. I don't know. I'll figure it out by morning.
Maybe Blair.
Well, hey,
go and
just
buy
call it a
some,
toothpick holder. It's just
Hey,
a
there you
toothpick
go.
holder for a table.
There
go
you
and buy
go.
some. You know the sinkers they use for fishing, Blair?
Yeah.
They melt down pretty easily. They'll melt down on a conventional stove, just or whatever you've got outside, and just do it in an old. Just tip them into an old can, like whatever when you've taken out your food, keep the can, and then melt them down in the can, and then just have one side of the can that's got like you can cut it so you can have a lip on it, like a pouring hole. And then just make up your own little molds, like out of clay or something like that. It'd be pretty easy.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Then it becomes a craft more than just a turning.
So
Yeah.
Bob, I may I'm going to use your idea though, just for tomorrow. I like the toothpick idea. That's cool.
Make sure they're long enough. If not,
Yeah, it's not that
you need
deep.
to make it not as deep, or not hollow it as deep, so the toothpicks stick out enough. Have you got cocktail toothpicks, or the colored toothpicks? You could put them in
yeah, I
because
do.
that would show it off.
I do.
Yeah, that'd be better for the camera.
Cool. We'll do that. Brilliant mind.
It's just old and full of a bunch of useless junk.
You know what? My dad is 86 years old, and I swear for years that man should have went on Jeopardy. He has got more useless junk in that brain of his that, he'll just pull stuff out and it's like, what?
Yeah.
He's not quite as sharp as he was, though.
Well, I've had 3 careers in my life, and you learn a lot in them. Well, have a good night in bed. I like watching your stuff today. Talk to you later.
All right, Hodge. See ya.
Thanks for coming in, Robert. Take it easy.
Yeah, I wish I would have. I caught a lot of them, but unfortunately, I was working Saturday and ended up, only catching maybe about 5-10 minutes of one, and then I had to go back to work. And those glass blowers, just wow.
Yeah, that was really good. That I watched all of that. That was probably, sorry to everyone else, but that was probably the only one I really watched the whole one off. Yeah, I like glass bone. It's really good stuff.
I get a kick out of that. I knew a girl that used to do a lot of that. I dated her for about a year. And as soon as she graduated from college, she had a job across the country, and that ended that. But, and one of her girlfriends in the class, it was all done on campus, did stained glass art. And she was doing it because her old man had a window company and had been doing windows for big buildings. And the person that used to do church windows, stained glass stuff, was getting up in years, but he was an SOB and wouldn't teach anybody. So she took it up and learned what she could in college and then watched him all the time so she could take it over when he retired. And that was interesting to watch. The two of them, the two girls, were inseparable. They were neighbors in the dorm. But it was fun to watch the stuff that you could do out of glass.
Yeah, it just blows my mind. I mean, just all of the different kinds and all of the shaping, and I mean the heat would just be wow.
Yeah.
Be right back.
What other hobbies have you had? Yep, it looks nice. But you ought to have the colored ones. When you do it, it'll show a stand off more than, because that is brown just like the holder. But that is really nice.
Yeah. Easy little project.
They sit in there nice, easy to grab.
A toothpick pot.
It's a pick pot.
Yes, a pick pot. Good title. Then they'll wonder what it is until you finally get it done. Then it'll make sense. A pick pot and pick pot holder.
So, Jay, do you feel beat up yet?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you feel beat up yet?
Nah, I won.
Yes, you did.
Oh yeah.
I was wondering.
I like the bark inclusions. That adds some real nice contrast.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it about that fat. I reckon a big cup, big boy's cup.
Have you ever made an urn?
No, I've made
Make an
boxes.
urn.
Well, that's hanging off the headstock with just a faceplate.
What does an urn look? I just sit down and thought,
Because I mean, that's big enough. You know,
Yep.
it's what, maybe about like that. And then,
Oh, yeah.
you know, what you do about that half for the lid.
it is. So just over 8 inches long.
Oh, that's a good urn.
Yeah.
You got a lid for it. In fact, you got part of the lid already formed. At the
Yeah, I was
tail
about to
side.
say, I'll just chop it off about here or something.
Do you have a tenon on the other end?
No, but I can flip it around. I've got a tenon in this end. I can flip it around and do that once this end's in the chuck because the faceplate's only about maybe 3/4 of an inch, maybe smaller than the actual piece of wood. So I don't want to go touching that with the tools. Yeah, I can do that.
Well, Jay and Blair, I'm going to have to take off. I got some stuff I got to do before I go to bed.
Okay, I appreciate you coming in.
Kids start going to school tomorrow here, so it's going to be a hectic morning.
All right, Dr. Bob, see ya.
Tomorrow night, for sure. Take care.
Or jump into my live tomorrow. It's at 10 a.m. That's noon your time, I think.
The Eastern?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Mountain.
Okay.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Yep, just message me a link.
Okay.
Alrighty.
See you later.
Take care.
So I'm just going to sit here and talk to myself and make rude comments and
You can have you scheduled your live?
yeah.
You can go and get the link and put it in if you like. You can put in your link to your channel if you like. It'll keep you busy for 5 minutes.
How many people do we have in here?
I get about 50 views per video, so for the later folks,
Okay, well, let's see here. So that would be a link to my channel. And
in your little studio settings style, have you set up your channel so that your live actually is the feature on your channel?
no.
You can have it so that as soon as someone goes to your channel, it comes up right under your cover picture. Pretty much, it has your cover picture, your name, subscribers, and then straight under that, people can click on the link if it's live. That's how I've got my page set up.
So, being that the code changes though every live that you have, do you have to go in and change that?
No. So every day, if you want to just do it as a test run, go to my wall, and you'll see my live that's on the top of the page is actually called Live AU 6, and that's what my live is called today. And then the next day it'll be called whatever I call it. So.
Yeah, I have to check that out, because right now I've got some video that I've done before and I hate it. and I don't know how I put it up there.
All right, because there's two different walls that are actually on your wall. You've actually got a video that people will see for the first time viewers, and then there'll be another video that you can have in the same spot for people that have been regular viewers to your channel.
Huh.
All right, that gets a bit confusing in the settings, so it's just a matter of just playing around and refreshing the page and just seeing what it looks like, really. And
Yeah, we have to go through that one of these nights.
Have you got your custom URL as well?
No, I don't think so.
You can apply for that once you've got 100 subscribers, and or you just do that in the settings. It'll be in the settings somewhere, and you just apply for it, and you get it straight away as soon as the algorithm sees that you've got over 100 subscribers. You get it, and basically what that means that anyone that searches for your name in the search on YouTube, it'll come up with it straight at the top. There's no searching in the list or yeah. And it also makes it easier too if you want to put a link up instead of actually getting the link from your channel, which has got all half the alphabet through it. You can just go and search your own name, and then just click the search. Take the address bar up the top where it's got your own custom URL on it.
All right, so I'm at settings, and there's one that says channel trailer for people who haven't subscribed.
Yep, that's one.
Okay, so that one. Maybe I need to make a trailer or something like that.
I don't know. I've got when people first come to my channel, they see my the rings that I started out making.
Yeah.
And I think when people people have been there a couple of times. I think it shows something I did later on. It doesn't show rings though, so I'm having a bit of a browse in the settings.
Then there's feature sections. Customize the layout of your channel homepage with up to 10 selections. That's pretty cool. I'll have to get into that. Maybe I'll make something, and then post it, and then, I might have to do some editing tomorrow.
Yep. All right. So if you go to the studio side of things.
Which would be what?
YouTube Studio.
So it create?
It might be. I've gone to the settings, and I'm in the channel dashboard.
Okay, hold on. I'm in dashboard.
Yep, I think you go to. Have you got a little little wand with little stars around it? That's the customization icon on the left hand side.
Yeah, customization.
Yeah, click on that. Go to basic info at the top.
Basic info. Okay.
And right down about 2 or 3 options down below in that list, it should say custom URL.
Okay, set a custom URL for your channel.
Yep, just be warned, once you've set that, that's what it stays as, all right? So,
yeah, there's already one there.
Yep, there you go.
Cool.
Yeah, and then you can just copy that and have that as a link from there if you want.
Okay, so
and links. Add links to sites you want to share with your viewers. That's like other YouTubers?
Yeah, where that'll put that on your on the bottom right hand side of your cover picture on your channel.
Oh, gotcha.
So if you go to mine, there'll be a woodworking supplies that's where I got my Yorkshire Grit from. I've put them in as a link to go to.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah, we'll have to do some playing tomorrow. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, you're right. There's some interesting settings in there. Sometimes you just have to have a bit of a play around and click them on and click them off and all that.
Right. I've got to get rid of that though. That's not good.
And it will, if you try and do, say, the same thing on your phone, the settings will be different. Some of the options won't be there, or there'll be more options than what's on the computer. You know, they have not synced up the the apps to the actual website too well, settings wise.
Oh, gotcha.
There you go. Chris has put in too, about 3 or 5 minutes ago. He said he's got another YouTube account he uses to look at his main one so he can see what it looks like. He highly recommends it.
Oh, okay.
How you going, Dave? Sorry, didn't see you come in. I was on another page.
Okay.
There you go. Did you see that, Blair?
No.
Bailey said if you need any help during the day, he loves this stuff. So,
Okay, Chris, cool. Thank you. Maybe I'll have to hit you up tomorrow if you're not doing anything.
all right.
Yeah, there are some people out there that just know the ins and outs and all that kind of stuff of software, and
Yes.
you know, that's just their gig.
Yeah. No, it's good to know those people.
Unfortunately, I have too much other trash going through my brain, so
I'm only laughing because me too. All right. Well, I reckon I might knock it on the head. I reckon.
sounds good. Yeah, that's going to be a cool looking urn. And matter of fact, I mean, if you give the body some shape, and just work the lid into it, it'll be pretty because it's got some spalding into it. I saw that.
Yeah. Yep. I think because it's a little bit moist still, this vlog, I thought it was going to be a lot drier. So yeah,
Hopefully it doesn't crack.
it's already starting to do that.
Oh, well.
That's all right.
All right, guys.
I'm not turning on the piff, so you might save it.
All right, Chris, Portal Woodworks, whoever else is in there, thanks for joining us. My live starts at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Mountain Standard Time. Sorry, Jay.
No, you're right. All good.
If you want to come join me, there's a couple things I'm doing tomorrow that are just household, easy kind of stuff that you don't really think about, but this is going to be cool. I think you'll like them. So
I put my head down because I butted in. Yeah, cheers, Chris. It's definitely a major improvement on what it started out as, that's for sure. All right, thank you, Chris, Dave, Blair.
Hit the bloody button.
Thank you very much.